Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are here once again at the Pepsi Plaza in the Banc of California Stadium.
Once again. First time.
I know. This is a different location than usual.
I like this backdrop.
He's conjuring up good vibes. I mean, this is the place we should have been always.
That may be fair.
Yeah, we should lobby for this from now on. Hey, but can I just say before we go too deep into it, being in the Pepsi Plaza, it's because of that statue back there, which is an incredible thing that LAFC does in conjunction with Pepsi. And I think only fitting that the scarf should talk about the ginormous scarf behind us.
Oh, is that his name?
This is one of the coolest things that we've ever had here at Banc of California Stadium. The giant scarf. If you go and take a photo in front of that scarf and use the hashtag #ScarvesUpForGood, they will donate $5 to help build the Mauricio Facio futsal court in Southeast LA. All you have to do is take a picture and use a hashtag. You do that every day with your lasagna or whatever else it is. Get out there to that scarf, take a picture, hashtag #ScarvesUpForGood. Take a picture, donate $5.
What are you, Garfield the cat?
I love Garfield.
Do you hate Mondays as well?
I mean,
who doesn't hate Mondays? That's fair. Folks, we love the fact that you all are back here. And by the way, if we're going to be charitable, hashtag kick childhood cancer. Throw that on your bucket list of charitable events. But we want to make sure that you're hanging out with us, contributing, adding to the chat. It makes our job fun and obviously makes things interactive. So join us in the chat. Don't be lame.
And I can confirm that we did get to meet Mr. Faithful Ramiro, and he was a pleasure to meet as well. So good to meet you, dude.
Hi, Jacob. You said my name in all caps. It's been a second since we got to chat.
Yeah.
Since then, LAFC has clinched #1 in the Western Conference.
It's nice. It's nice when you just wake up and go, "Oh, we won something."
And especially when you didn't actually have to play a game for that to happen.
Yes.
It's funny the teams that you all of a sudden become fans of. Obviously, midweek, we were all cheering for Real Salt Lake. And obviously, that changed this week. But as a result of Austin tying yesterday, we are now, and it's official, and we say this on our podcast, Defenders of the Bank, all the time, we are officially best in the West. But we still have a little bit of work to do in order to be best in MLS, and that's what we're going to talk about momentarily.
So what comes along with being best in the West? It's qualification in the Concacaf Champions League. I don't know about you, Philly, but I'm excited to travel next year.
I am pretty darn excited. I missed Leon because normally for Christmas, I buy my wife a really cool gift. I don't buy her material possessions. I buy her experiences because that'll last. Handbags and jewelry, that gets tossed out. Trust you me, I found like a Tiffany's necklace in my bathroom.
How many handbags and jewelry are you?
Just tossing things
Not much, but
how much are we paying you?
I mean, not a lot.
Wait, we get paid for this?
But my point is, like, I usually buy Amanda and I like a trip to go somewhere. What I messed up on was not looking at Concacaf Champions League scheduling. And as a result of that, I missed out on the trip to Leon. I missed the Leon game here at Banc of California Stadium, which is arguably the greatest game ever at the Bank.
It was.
I will not make the same mistake because, folks, we're going to get to travel. It could be Costa Rica. It could be Guatemala. It could be Honduras. Fingers crossed that it's Jamaica. That's where I want to go.
Not to get sidetracked too much, but that Leon,
that's what we do.
That Leon game at home, and so that represents such a weird time because that was right before the pandemic. And it feels like a lifetime ago.
Yep. It's why we can't have nice things.
Exactly.
Why we can't hug each other in
but
public.
when you say the Leon trip, like that was one trip that we all got to share. I was
in Italy.
LAFC fans before the world changed a little bit. So it's good that we will be able to come back to that next year.
And folks, there's a person wearing a Houston Dynamo shirt behind us. Let's all boo him. Boo!
Look, more importantly, everybody check your passports. Make sure your passports are updated. It's been a while since a lot of us have thought about traveling. We're going to travel, everybody. So check those passports. Make sure you're good to go.
But I am glad you mentioned travel because what we're not going to actually be doing is traveling in the immediate future. I think the bigger thing, and look, Supporter Shield is something that we can talk about later. But getting into Concacaf Champions League is huge. I know it's where we belong. But the biggest thing for me, I think, immediately is the fact that the Western Conference will run through Banc of California Stadium. And having that home field advantage, I think, is so huge. And that's the first thing I thought of. I know I want to travel just like you guys, and I will make sure that my passport is good.
There you go.
But the MLS Cup, I think, is the thing that we all continue to talk about. And again, I know we're going to talk Supporter Shield in the next little bit of this segment, but MLS Cup is what we all want. We all crave, we covet it. And the fact that we have tied up the fact that we're going to be here to get there, I think is the biggest thing of all.
What was going on to my right, by the way?
You don't want to.
You know what? You know what's funny was the camera was off of Philly, and he was
nice.
like, "I'm going to use this as an opportunity."
And then it came
to grab
right
what's
back
under my
on. That was
seat.
great.
And then as he got off, we went to the wide shot.
Look, I think you guys know there's nothing more than Philly and I love than defending the bank, and that's what we've done all season. Just one game dropped here at home all year. So to know that at least through the entire Western Conference playoffs, and hopefully if we get our stuff together over these last 3 games, the final, MLS Cup final, will be played right here at Banc of California Stadium. I couldn't think of a better backdrop, a better place to be playing MLS Cup final than right here in beautiful downtown actual Los Angeles.
You're not wrong, and obviously we are successful at Banc of California Stadium. And if I could be so bold as to quote the great Dr. Emmett Brown from the film Back to the Future, roads, where we're going, we don't need roads. That's right, because we got 2 of the next 3 games at home here in Banc of California Stadium, an arena that we've only lost 1 game. We're going in tonight against Houston. That's fantastic. We go on the road against Portland, which is still sort of like a Banc of California to the north. And then we're going to come out and smash Nashville in the next couple of weeks. So home is pretty sweet.
Sure, I love the optimism, but
Oh, boy.
Wow.
The antagonist.
but no,
It's a hard left.
You know, it's a competitive league.
Of course.
We just lost Houston away. We're playing Portland away, which has traditionally not been the easiest of tasks.
Right.
And then Nashville, who's been hot with maybe a strong case for MVP candidate coming into LA. Look, all I'm saying is this supporter shield is up for grabs with Philadelphia dropping points over the weekend to Atlanta, 0-0. We're 3 points behind them. This is our game to match them on matches played.
Well, but that's the difference now, right? For so long, we were so far ahead, and I know a lot of people are screaming, yeah, it should have been over by now. And look, to Connor's point, though, it's a competitive league. This is the way things happen. Sometimes you've got to earn it. You don't just get to say, hey, we're so far ahead, it's probably going to be ours. You got to earn it. I am, though, very interested to see how this team now plays chasing.
Yep.
They are no longer the team out way ahead of everyone. They've got to chase. And you have to play a little bit different, I think, when you have to chase. Because obviously ties are not going to be good enough, as Philly found out.
Right.
I would like to see this team play with a little bit of extra hunger, a little bit, a little bit of extra edge. And I kind of like it. I would have liked it would have been that it would have been wrapped up. But going into the playoffs, I would almost like to be chasing and understand that that's the vibe you're going to need when you're going for MLS Cup.
But we have a renewed sense of optimism because of the 2 results that happened yesterday. And I'm hoping that because of this new lease on life, these new opportunities that were once taken for granted earlier in the season, I think that's why we're going to be able to handle not only each of these last 3 teams' best shot, because that's what LAFC gets no matter what, but the fact that even though some of these will even be chasing playoff spots or playoff seeding, I think LAFC will come out ready to go for these final 3 matches.
I just want to say you learn a lot from losing. Obviously, this team is not in a position to go, yeah, we're better than everybody else. So back to your point, it is good that we're chasing things. If we don't have a hunger, if we don't have a desire to go out there and win games and dominate games, we have no business being in the playoffs and being successful. So chasing from behind, yes, it is a good thing. We don't have this negative sense of being overinflated. So I'm with you in the regard that it's good that we are because you learn a lot more from losing than you do from winning, and that's my opinion there.
So this is most definitely a game to watch with some players to watch.
Wow.
If you're new here,
You're so
we do
proud.
this game on 110 Football calls players to watch. Essentially, all you have to do is pick one player from each team, and based off the MLS fantasy scoring system, how they play on the field today will determine who wins. We don't have any prizes today, so we're just playing for pride.
You're the prize, Connor.
That's the biggest prize. Pride.
I'm not sure if
Connor will show up to your house and help you pick players to watch for the next game.
I like it.
Hey, I'm always up for a good time.
Yeah, why not?
All right, so I'm going to start off this segment right here. I normally will pick somebody who's obvious because when it comes to fantasy points, that's what you want to do, and I like to win. But this time, I'm going to pick a player that I didn't necessarily think about at all during the last match, and I'm going to talk about Griffin Dorsey. We've all played a sport to a certain extent.
Sounds like a different type of football player.
It does.
It really does. But, this is a guy who had an outstanding game against LAFC a couple of short weeks ago. So knowing how he performed in the last match is going to give this young man that sense of optimism. We didn't lose to the Houston Dynamo that last match. We lost to Griffin Dorsey. So that's my player to watch as far as Houston is concerned. And he's also a member of my alma mater, Indiana University. Go Hoosiers. As far as LAFC is concerned, Now I'm going to pick the obvious one. Chicho Arango, who is our leading scorer. I can't go out and pick Griffin Dorsey, the sleeping giant, is the way I'm looking at him, an underdog, but I'm going to pick
This
something.
is how you're going to cover.
You're gonna
cover.
pick Chicho after the game in Minnesota?
Yes, because look, yes, cooler heads can prevail, but if there's anything that I know about Chicho Arango is he doesn't go very often. He doesn't go multiple games without scoring a goal, and he has a hunger, a desire, a blue-collar workman's ethic to score goals, and he's going to be pumped to make up for the performance that he had in the last game.
Okay.
I hope so.
I like where Philly's head's at, and I'm going somewhat similar. I'm not going Chicho Arango for LAFC. I'm going Jose Cifuentes, who I think had a little bit of a dip in form, but I've noticed an uptick as he started to come into games. He's actually been a sub as a recent game, so maybe, and we haven't seen the lineup yet, but I'm thinking he's probably going to start. He's going to take that confidence and put some points on the board. He loves scoring here. He loves playing at home, so that's why I picked Jose Cifuentes, because he's such a good player at home. And talk about being obvious. For Houston, I picked Sebastian Ferreira. He was the one that scored one of the goals against us. It was a penalty, should not have been a penalty, but doesn't matter. He put it in the back of the net, so that's why I'm picking him.
Still not the best Ferreira in MLS, though.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Look, I think the things that I have seen the last two matches from Dennis Bouanga has really let me feel optimistic about, I think he's going to put one in the back of the net here at home. I just think that this is going to be a coming out party kind of a match for Denny Bouanga. I really think that he is going to show out tonight. So, you know what? That's why I picked him as my player to watch. And a player that has 1 goal and 3 assists in his career against LAFC is one Darwin Quintero. He just seems to be that guy that's always in the mix, maybe a little thorn in your side.
Scientist of goals.
Right? So, I get it. Darwin.
Yeah.
That's
pretty clever,
he doesn't.
actually.
No, that is his name.
He calls himself.
No, he doesn't call
Okay,
himself
good.
that, but
All
that
right.
has
You
been his
can't give
nickname.
yourself
Oh,
nickname.
boy. But either way, he's a player that always comes up to play against LAFC very well. 1 goal, 3 assists against us in his career. So Darwin Quintero, Denny Bouanga, players to watch.
Yeah, tough guy to get the ball off of, too.
Oh, yeah.
What do you
My
got?
turn. Save the best for last.
You picked 2 goalkeepers.
No, what's interesting is this time we actually all pick different players.
That's right. It is.
Usually there'll be some similarities in our picks. I picked for the Houston Dynamo Fafa Pico. He's been really good for Houston in the time he's been there since his trade from was it it was Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then before that,
Philly.
He has 2 assists and 7 goals on the season. Exact same stats as my LAFC player to watch, Mahala Apoku.
Okay.
With 2 assists, 7 goals on the season. I mean, they're two very good players who have proven that they can produce
They
numbers.
play a lot in similar ways, I think. I mean, Mahala's got a better shot, but they're definitely lively. You can't
energetic.
You can't take your eyes off them for a second,
Nope.
because next thing you know, they're behind you and they're scoring a goal.
So I'm pretty confident that either of those 2 players can create something out of nothing today, and that's the reason.
No, and that's a really good pick because, I mean, Fafa has had 2 goals added to his repertoire since the game against Houston in Houston, so that's a good one. I want to give a little honorable mention to Corey Baird, who is returning to Banc of California Stadium. He has not really had a good run of form as a member of the Houston Dynamo, but he too had 2 assists recently, and he was a member of the MLS Team of the Week. So
will he
want to
get
bring him
any
up
kind
too.
of ovation and or mention?
I think half the people in the stadium wouldn't even know who the hell he was.
Fair.
You're not wrong.
CB13.
Well, players to watch is a lot of fun for people. Usually when there's prizes, it's even more fun. This is my favorite part. And not just the whole game, just the fact that I get to say that the man next to me who teaches children is a degenerate gambler, and he's going to teach us how to play LAFC
Oh, sweet
110
irony.
football prop bets. Scarf, if you could, what is a prop bet and how does this work?
You're having more and more fun with that
I
transition
know, I'm going
every
real
episode.
hard.
I love it.
I hope all the parents that are watching.
That's my son's teacher. That's my daughter. There you go. I do teach math, so that has something to do with gambling, right? So look, the prop bets are beautiful because you have to pick a side. Will there be over or under a certain amount of whatever it might be? Will this player score? Will this team score first? Whatever it might be, will we throw 4 of them out at you, and we'll give you our sides. You get to bet with mythical money at home on what your sides are going to be. And with that, let's take a look at the first player to score. This is one of usually the better paying prop bets, I should say, out there. First player to score. Who you think it's going to be? Connor, who do you have as your first player to score?
Just because it goes along with my player to watch, I'm going to say Mahalo.
Yeah. Seems like the right way to go about it. I like
Well,
it.
it's a smart way to gamble, and Scarf will tell you what. No, I'm kidding.
By the way, I did the exact same thing. Denny Bwanga is my choice. So
I like that
That
for
was
us.
who I have as my player to watch. So I'm with
Philly,
you.
did you have Chicho?
No, that would be the obvious choice. But one thing I want to note is I picked Carlos Vela, and there's a reason for it. Carlos Vela's goal in the last match was the first goal that he's scored outside of the box since 2019. The look on his face after he scored, it was a burning desire to kick ass and take names. And so I really think he's going to go out there and continue to do so. Charlie Candle is my choice for the first goal scorer.
Vince?
I am concurring with Philly. I have Carlos Vela.
I like it.
I feel like he's got a taste for goals, and he's going to want to continue to exert that pressure on teams. He's been facilitating very well, but to Philly's point, hits that curler. He's got a taste for it. He's gotta go
Vintage
for it.
Vela, baby.
I hope that was a shark smelling blood in the water. Absolutely. With 2 players on accumulation for LAFC, I believe Muri and Ilie Sanchez.
Seems like that's been the case all year.
Right?
Yes, it feels like it.
This is a dangerous one. Over under 3.5 yellows. And yes, we know you can't get a half. That's so you have to pick a side. Over under 3.5 yellows combined. Vince, what do you think?
I went under. Let's just have some good, clean fun out there.
Oh, I am the exact opposite, sir. There will be no good, clean fun to be had. I think Murray may be suspended for our next
when is
match.
fun ever just good and clean?
I'm going over.
old
Philly,
are you?
speaking of good and clean,
Over 3.5 because we've been guilty of accumulating fouls time and time again. So to me, it's a no-brainer, 3.5.
I agree with Philly.
yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, so 3 out of 4 of us. have-
Speaking of referees, there's like a thing on the big screen that's celebrating Kevin Stott's career, and at first I was like,
Why?
Why?
And did you find out
I
why?
guess we can't play games without him. So
Right,
good
there
for
you go. First team to make a sub. And if you don't mind, I'll go first because I think it'll be LAFC going first. I think they'll have a substitution on at halftime, and there is nothing more that I trust for the most part than Steve Cherundolo subbing in the second half. We have been the best second half team in MLS. LAFC will sub at the half. Connor, who's going to sub first?
Is that on the assumption that we're not doing well?
Yeah, I was going to ask that question too.
Probably
Usually when you sub at half,
0-0.
it's not a good thing.
Yeah,
I like
probably
to think-
0-0 at the half.
I like to think we'll be firing on all cylinders in
love
the first
that.
half, so Houston will have to make changes accordingly.
Okay, I like it.
I think you and I should start a podcast together because I too thought that halftime would be the time where LAFC would institute their first sub for reasons other than like keeping their boys fresh and foul trouble. Ilie and Murray being in contention for yellow card accumulation, sitting out the next game. I firmly believe that Steve, depending on how those two boys perform, is going to at the very least want to sub one of the two out because there's a very high probability that they could get a yellow card. And if they do, that puts us in a whole heap of trouble.
Vince, you always want to keep your boys fresh, right? So are we going Houston?
No.
Or
you guys talking about
LAFC?
starting a podcast. I went with my boy Connor. Connor and I actually do have a podcast, but we record it on a cassette and we pass it out to people.
Oh, baby.
So
Love
Houston.
that so much.
But you didn't have to yell at the viewers like that.
But they like it.
No, I love it when Vince
Do
gets
they?
fired up. He's
Yeah.
usually so like mellow and even.
I like because you're hosting the show and I get to be a little wild and crazy. It's fun.
You're wild and crazy.
All right, to me, this is an easy one, guys. Over under 2.5 goals scored combined.
Let's say it all together.
All right, 1,
One,
2,
two,
3.
Over.
Okay,
That's
God.
right. I
You
think,
know what? Just because we all did that,
yeah.
in some weird way, it's going to be under. In some messed up way.
So we'll
because
win
we all
2-0
said it
instead
in
of 3-0?
unison.
I've got to pull back the curtain. In our ears, our producer just went, great analysis. Yeah. We bring it. We bring
did
it for the pregame.
No, but why do we say over?
Because we're going to go to parlays, which you're going to explain to everybody. But I
Absolutely.
think all of our score lines, we just feel that LAFC is going to try to get back to winning ways. And in order to do
Absolutely.
that, we generally don't win games 1-0.
No.
No, I think this, again, with the renewed optimism, this is going to be a team that'll come out and want to absolutely smash. So I think we will. What we do here with our parlays now is we wrap 2 of those that we just gave you in a little bow, along with our score line prediction for the match. And that is our parlay. And usually parlays hit big if you pick props that are a little more out there. I believe we're throwing to Philly first, right? Philly, your parlay, please.
My parlay. And the ironic thing is I actually feel like I'm going to win today, and there are no prizes to be given out other than
There never has been
coming
You
for
here
can't
for these.
win either
Why
way.
are you guys just like throwing me out as
We're
the prize?
pimping you
I
out,
didn't
Connor.
agree to this
Whoa.
prize.
Hashtag pimp
Go ahead
out
and get to
Connor.
your parlay.
Hashtag.
Over 3.5 on the yellow cards is my first part of the parlay. I think it's going to be over 2.5 goals because, in my opinion, you'd have to be a schmuck to think otherwise. And then finally, LAFC 3-0. Maxime Crepeau gets a clean sheet, ties Tyler Miller for the record for most clean sheets, and that will give Steve Cherundolo his 20th victory, which will tie him with Bob Bradley for most victories as a first-year head coach. Bravo. Y'all don't need to talk anymore because I won.
Vince, what do you have for your parlay?
My method is to kind of put together how I think the game's going to go. So I have Carlos Vela to score first. I have Houston making a sub because LAFC's playing so well, and then I have a 3-0 LAFC victory.
I can see it playing out right there.
I think
Connor?
I'm definitely going to lose or not get all my parlay right because I don't think he'll be starting. But I have Mahala scoring the first goal. I have over 2.5 goals, and I have a 4-0 prediction. Really.
Which you've been good
4-0.
with these big predictions before.
I know.
So let's hope that comes.
But I like to give these big predictions only in small sample sizes, once in a while. Only once in a while.
Sure.
Hopefully it
Breadcrumbs.
works.
I went with low value on my parlay because I took both overs, over 3.5 and over 2.5 on our 2 over bets that we had. And I think it's going to be a 3-0 scoreline as well. I think we're all pretty optimistic that LAFC is really going to take it to these guys. So let us know what you guys think at home. What's your parlay going to be? Put some mythical money out there and see what happens.
We're predicting goals, and in the chat, they're asking if we still have a post-game show.
Vince
I love
too.
you. We, of course, still have a post-game show every home game, and we hope that he'll be back to join us post-game. So if you're here, please join us for the post-game show. But now we're getting close to that kind of business end of the show. This is when we talk a little more soccer. We're going to get to the starting lineup as well, but this is Shoot Your Shot. It's our chance to give that kind of final pep talk before the team hits the field. And up first is Philly. Philly, you've been first for all of these, so let's set the table. Shoot your shot.
No, this is good, and you're going to understand why momentarily when he chooses. Why I'm happy that I went first, because it could be the teacher copying from the student in this regard. To me, don't lose your cool. These past couple of games, we've had a couple of LAFC players that have lost their cool, and as a result of that, it could have cost us the game. If we go back, not the last match, the match beforehand, we had Franco Escobar lose his cool. In a moment that, he shouldn't have lost his cool because he was very blatant about fouling Marco Farfan. As a result of that, there was a quick turnaround, and there was a goal scored. And that kind of sucks. In the last game, Chicho Arango lost his cool. As a result of that, he was booked with a yellow card. And Steve Cherundolo needed to make a tactical move and take him out of the game because, Chicho was heated. And it's great to see Chicho heated because normally he scores goals. But to lose him in a matchup that's as important as today against the Houston Dynamo, it was good that he was subbed out. So to me, these boys, cooler heads need to prevail. These boys need to stay out of trouble. And Ilie Sanchez and Jesus David Murillo, we cannot afford to see a yellow card coming out of either of you. So don't lose your cool is my pep talk.
Quick hot take. You guys are reading into that Franco Escobar losing his cool thing a little too much. It's one instance.
All right, well, you take over. You shoot your shot.
Anyway, my shoot your shot is 3 games left. Supporter Shield on the line. Let's act like it. There's 3 games left. I'd like to think, it's a fact. Silverware is on the line. We have control of our own destiny now with the situation at hand. I'd like to think every game should be treated like a final. And I don't know what the situation is in the locker room. I don't know what the messaging from the coaching staff, from the technical staff is, but I would like to hope that messaging is each game going forward is a final, because that supporter shield, we value it of a certain level. So act like it, guys.
Scarf.
Yeah, look, Philly and I have a very similar sentiment, and the way I
Why
put
we
it
should
is
start a podcast.
we need to play with a level head, and I think that goes back a little bit to what Philly was talking about, with a couple of moments where I think LAFC lost their cool. And what we've seen time and time again this season is other teams have been able to capitalize on just those singular moments on LAFC's blunders when we make them. But I'm more concerned about something I've already alluded to earlier. We have Murray and Ilie Sanchez both with possible yellow card accumulation suspension if they pick up another. We obviously don't want to be missing anybody with our last road trip all the way up to Portland, because it's not easy to play on Portland as it is, especially with that turf. We're going to get every team's best shot. So look, everybody channel your inner Giorgio Chiellini on the pitch for this match. Play with a level head. And look, I think this is that match where LAFC rights the ship. We play the way we know how to play for 90 minutes, not 85, not 80, 90 minutes. And we put this one away by playing with a level head.
So I'm going last, and I'm not saying that mine's the best, because I think all of you guys make great points. But I think mine is easier said than done. Just forget the last 6 games. Because an LAFC team that I love, that plays well, plays with an edge. They play 90 minutes. They play like it's going to be their last. And I think LAFC needs to get back to that. Stop thinking about the mistakes. Stop thinking about the yellow card accumulation. Stop thinking about refs. Just think about your game. This is all that matters. And the fact that this home crowd has waited to see you guys.
Yep.
We miss games. We miss games here. And then we're going to have a little bit of a break. So forget everything. This 90 minutes is the only thing that matters. And I think if you combine all of our team talks together, it's a pretty good team talk.
That's a pretty good motivational speech right
I think
there.
to sum it all up, we need to kick ass, break hearts, set trends. And I love what Dexter Quinn said. Normally I disagree with Dexter, especially when he attacks my favorite band, Oasis. But play like you want to be immortalized. That's what it's all
last
about.
LFC 360.
You know what's funny is actually the players are watching this pregame show in the locker room right now. I don't know if you guys know
Smart.
Well,
But hey,
hi,
good luck,
guys. Speaking of which of those players will be starting today's match for LAFC? The starting 11 is live and ready to go. And of course, we have Maxime Crepeau in goal. We've got Ryan Hollingshead on one side, Cheeky Palacios on the other, and it's Eddie Segura along with Giorgio Chiellini. Maybe a little something to do with Murray.
I think
and
that has a little bit to do with yellow card accumulation.
Kellen Acosta, Ilie Sanchez, and Jose Cifuentes back to what our normal midfield has looked like for most of the season. Chicho Arango, Carlos Vela, and Denny Bowanga. That is a dangerous front three.
Sexy.
I like
It's an interesting front three.
a lot. I like this a lot.
It's interesting that in the graphic, which normally they're pretty concise about, it has Arango out towards one side. I don't know if that is a sign of anything.
Right.
I will say, though, that at all times, always assume that LAFC's front three is interchangeable, and they should be able to pick up positions anywhere on the field. So I wouldn't read too much into it, but I do find it interesting.
Yep.
But the thing about it is, and I want to allude back to something that Steve said not too long ago, is he's going to start the lineup that he feels gives this team the best shot at winning a game. So we're looking at it. It's been kind of consistent. The only thing that bothers me about looking at that starting lineup right now is looking on that screen. It makes me realize how old I am because I had to wince my eyes and do that in order to see exactly who's
I'm glad I was not the only one.
Connor, you'll understand this in about
okay.
20 years. It's called aging.
Okay.
No, I think this is the lineup, in my opinion, that when we make it to MLS Cup, we may see this exact.
Interesting. I was actually going to ask you guys
11
playoffs.
Yeah.
If we're starting the playoffs today, is that your lineup?
The only thing might be Segura and Moody might have a little bit of a platoon.
Right.
I think I like what Hollingshead gives
Connor
us.
shaking his
Connor
head
is
no.
shaking his head no. What do you think, Connor?
No, I actually really, really like seeing the Segura Chiellini.
No, I totally agree. I think this is our 11.
Yeah, I agree.
This is our 11
It's
moving
just
forward.
that Murray and Chiellini, there's something between them that just got them both to play so well. Not saying that him and Segura can't have the same thing, but we've seen it so many times already.
Yeah.
So I think that's where people apprehension. But I love Eddie Segura, so I want to see more of this pairing. I think it's
I'm just
interesting.
saying that front three is lethal right now.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that we have Mahala, Christian Teo, and Gareth Bale all off the bench going into playoffs, that's the difference with this year's team.
Yeah.
Compared to any team in MLS history. Going into the postseason with those three options in the attack, off the bench, that's scary.
Champagne problems.
Absolutely. You have Mendez and Latif in the midfield. You got Murray and Ibeaga both waiting in the wings. Our 18 is just an embarrassment of riches. It's gross. We are so talented from top to bottom.
So let's just prove that on the field today.
Yes.
What do you guys?
Not us.
No, not.
Thank God.
No,
we don't.
We're not proving
No,
a damn thing
no.
on the field.
But we will be back after the game to do our post game. So join
Right
us
here.
for that.
Get your rear ends back on this YouTube channel. If you are not in Banc of California Stadium, hang out with us as we get jovial. And it's going to be either Connor and I starting the, you might hear that Dolly Dolly Black and Gold. We're going to have some fun. And by the way, Dexter Ox, Oasis does not suck. And yes, there is a band called Oasis.
So we're just about out here. Scarf, tell them where to watch the game.
Absolutely. KCOP 13, or if you're listening on the radio, ESPN Radio. So don't forget, game's about to get started. So we're going to throw it to KCOP, which actually means we get to get up to our seats a little bit earlier,
Yes.
which is nice.
See you guys in the post game. We'll be right here.
Let's go black and gold.
Bye.